My name is Christian Stevenson, and for the last 7 months I've been traveling across the United States following the APBA Offshore Series. But before we review the season, let's go behind the scenes with Team Drambuie on Ice, whose boat represents the ultimate in speed and power and the pinnacle of powerboat racing. Here's driver Hugh Fuller.
There's two of us in the boat that does the job of like one person. Like in a race car, for instance, you have one person doing the steering, the brake, the gears, everything, and here you have two doing the job of one. So it takes a lot of seat time to get your timing together, to get two people to do the exact same thing at the exact same moment. You can carry as much speed around the turn and exit the corners as fast as you can and to do as well as you can.
And throttle man John Tomlinson.
It's my responsibility to set the boat up. It's my responsibility to pick propellers, pick how we're going to set the boat up for that day according to the race conditions. I have to adjust the speed of the boat, the attitude of the boat, with the trim on the drives, and the trim tabs all hydraulically move up and down and in and out. I have the ballast tank up in the boat. I can move water forward to balance the boat. I can pump it out, and I control the speed of the RPM of the boat. That's the main thing I do. When that boat leaves the water, I have to be off the throttles at the precise time so we don't overrev the engines. When that boat re-enters in the water, I have to be back on the power smoothly and at the right time, not to disrupt how the boat is flying.
Hugh and John have been partners since way back to the start of the season last April.
Our first race this year in Daytona was a very rough race. It was the first time we were there. We were very glad to get to go there. So it's the home really of motorsports with the Daytona 500 and NASCAR. So it was a very nice race to be there and be invited by nice NASCAR being part of their race. It was a very rough race. Johnny and I decided we needed to sit back at first, kind of see where the race happened because we wanted the equipment to last to finish the race. And after a few laps and all, we decided, hey, we better start doing it if we're going to try to win it. So at the end, we picked it up pretty hard. We were fortunate enough to be able to win the race.
But it's not simply good driving that can ensure victories. A good engineer is worth more than his weight in gold.
Basically, my role with the Drambuie team is that I help John oversee the boat, the building of the boat, in the beginning stages of it. If the boat comes in the shop and we're working on a new boat, I help rig the boat, help lay it out, and do all the mechanical work to the boat. And then once the boat's built, I help John test the boat, set the boat up how he wants it, and then from that stage, oversee the boat through the year. If any problems develop, I help attack them and fix them. As the boat's going through the season, if we're having problems, we try to work together and fix those problems and make the boat better on the race course.
The driver and the throttleman have to work very, very good together. We both work as a team. No one per se takes the lead or whatever. It's like the driver, when we head up to a turn, usually we'll talk about it. When we think we're there, I might even call for the power to chop the power, chop it usually. I'll set the boat, turn it, then he'll start squeezing power in. If I want more to help with the turn, I'll ask for more power for him to give me the turn. If we start to hook or something, he'll have to either come out or nail it with instinct. You don't have time to talk. And you try to get to where you do it so much that we do it with never talking. We try to do it where we just go into the turn, we know where we want to chop the power, where we're going. We both try to act as one, and that's what teamwork's all about. This is definitely a teamwork sport.
But midway through the season, tragedy strikes. Jack Carmody, a previous national championship driver, flipped his boat in Corpus Christi, Texas, and sadly suffered fatal head injuries. His throttle man, Dan Jackson, was more fortunate and survived the nasty accident. So you can see it's a sport that races on a knife's edge. Split-second decisions mean the difference between success and failure. So what would make someone take up this sport?
I got involved in offshore powerboat racing. I've always liked fast boats. I used to race cars. I raced an IMSA GTP car and a World Sports car. And I always liked speed. My wife didn't like me really racing cars anymore. I always had fast pleasure boats. So one day she said I was welcome to go do this. So I went out and bought a race team and been racing ever since.
Ever since I was 6 years old, I knew I was going to do this. I needed to do this. Just an excitement I've always had for it, and by growing up in the marine business, marine shop classes, and working for different places, Mike and I were able to become partners in 1984 and form our TNT Custom Marine business, which enabled us to work on high-performance boats and then ultimately get a ride in a boat in 1986. And from there, we've been fortunate to be with the right people and have some good sense about what we're doing and knowledge, and we learn and learn. We continue to learn every year, and I've been able to get the rides as years go by. And since we've been successful, the shop brings in the work, and now that we're racing successfully, racing brings in the work. So I've been involved my whole life in the business.
So what's it really like driving a powerboat on the water?
When you're out in a powerboat, it's very exhilarating. I mean, it's a big rush. I race cars, and boats are definitely different. The main difference that I see is like the course changes all the time. A race course is pretty much the same in a car race. It gets green, it comes and goes. The course just changes all the time, and when we're out racing boats, and it's very fun, and it's pretty much on the edge all the time.
Having been a racing car driver, how does handling a powerboat differ?
When we're out on the race course, we're trying to decide how to turn into a turn or whatever else. Depends on the conditions. If it's real rough and where the wind is blowing, like if the wind is blowing from the south and you're turning at a 180-degree turn, you have to allow for it. You have to catch the boat. So like if you're headed into a, into the wind, fine, you run into it. If you're turning into it, you've got a crosswind. Every time you jump, you have to leave the boat. So when you land straight. So that takes a little concentration. You have to watch every wave to see how you're launching, in the rough water. And the smooth stuff, it doesn't take as much. It's more finesse in the smooth stuff, trying to keep the steering just as straight as you can and not scrub off any speed.
Mike, tell us, what do you have to do to set the boat up for a race day?
Every race course has its own characteristics. Some of them this year have been flat calm races with long straightaways. Some of them have been short. Some have been choppy, windy. Some have been rough. Naturally, he makes the final call on what we're going to do with the boat, adjustment with propellers and what have you, and we kind of rely on him to make that call. I try to give him a little feedback. If I'm seeing something, I just let him know what I see, so maybe he can bounce it off of what he feels, and hopefully it's a good decision. And I guess, we've been pretty successful, so he's pretty good at making the right call on race day.
So before we start the final race here at Key West, let's take a moment to look back at the season so far. Drambuie get off to a flying start with a win at Daytona. Jack Carmody's Carlson Charlie comes in first at the second race of the season at Fort Myers Beach, Florida. And then it's off to Corpus Christi, Texas, where Bill Mouth's WHM Motorsport team secure first place in a race that is unfortunately marred by the death of Jack Carmody. Drambuie once again clinched first place at Sarasota in June, and then on to secure a second at Cleveland, Ohio, and a second again at Mississauga. Drambuie come third at St. Petersburg, but secure enough points to become this year's National Offshore Powerboat Champions. So can they complete a double, securing the World Championship here at Key West? Let's go waterside, where I've just heard the Drambuie team are actually changing the boat for the last race. I've got to ask John, why?
Everybody's asking me that question. We did the new boat. We won the national championship with the other boat. It's an awesome boat. I'm still not sold on which boat we're going to run next year. We're going to have to pick one. There's things I like on both boats. There's things I dislike on both boats. I'm going to work during the winter to see which one we're going to run next year. But we won the national championship. We had the opportunity to rig this new boat. And I figured, you know what, let's go to Key West, let's gauge it, let's see what we got, and hopefully we won't make a mistake and falter because we took the wrong boat. And that's what we're here for, to see how this boat will do, and right now it's doing pretty good.
Race day, we hope to be 100% prepared by the time that day comes. We start the morning off with a breakfast with the team, the crew, the mechanics, and we talk about what we're going to do, preparation. We have a system that we've been using for years. Everybody knows it. The guys get here early in the morning. They start going over every nut and bolt in the boat. Make sure nothing's shaking loose. Make sure that something that is happening to the boat that we didn't see the day before. And from that point on, once everything's gone over, it's basically just looking at the weather, looking at the race course, and Johnny makes a call on what propellers we're going to run for that day, and that's about it.
But even the best preparation in the world is no guarantee for success, as Hugh well knows.
I think now all the boats are so competitive that anyone can win a race on any given day. You know, Spirit of Puerto Rico definitely has an advantage because they have, 11 points on us, so we definitely have to beat them and beat them by 5 seconds. I expect to see Tommy Bahama up there if he doesn't have any problem because it is a smoother course today. He was coming on very strong before. But I mean, any of the guys, Cat can do, or any other guys can do very well, but we just have to go out and do the best we can and hang it out, run as hard as we can, and hopefully come back winning.
We asked John what he thought his chances were of actually capturing the world title.
We've been able to spend a little more time with the boat since we had a 2-week delay with the hurricane. We got to do some more testing, some more setup work. We've changed the boat around quite a bit. We're right back about where we started, but I got more time in the boat, so I think I'll be able to run it harder today and hopefully be able to do better.
And what about the weather conditions today?
I think it's going to be a little calmer than it was the previous race. The wind's still blowing hard, but it's coming out of a different direction, so we're going to be a little bit on the leeward side of the island, so I don't anticipate it being near as rough as it was the last race. It'll be bumpy, but not as rough.
What a great finish. What a great finish. Before my wife.
Thank you.
I am elated. I am elated. It's a dream come true. My dad, who just passed away a few months ago, I wish he was here to see it, but I know he's upstairs there looking down on us. It's quite a thrill.
John, you won the world championship. Tell us about it.
That's awesome. That's all I can say. It's awesome. It's a culmination of so much work. Just with this team has so much faith. I got so much faith in those guys. They have faith in me, and we all got faith in the Lord above, and He just blessed this team so much, and it just really came together. I wasn't sure if we were going to win this one. We ran pretty decent the first race. I knew we had to go out and win it this race. It turned out good. The boat ran well, and it's just so much hard work. Can't say enough. It's not a one-man show. It's not a one-man show. This team has really grown and come together. And Hugh's an awesome driver, and I attribute a lot of our success to his driving abilities, and he's real sharp. And I just went out today, and I ran the boat exceptionally hard, but I was comfortable running it exceptionally hard today, and it proved profitable for us.
What was the greatest challenge to winning in Key West?
Well, you have both waters here. I mean, it's real rough on the outside, it's smooth on the inside. You have to set up the boat to do both. It's very hard to do that. But Johnny did an excellent job setting up the boat throttling today. He won it today. He worked hard.
That's a wrap from Florida, and that's a wrap from me, Digby Fox, and the team. We'll have more watery wonders on next week's show.